Are you looking at Ram pickups, interested in a new one or a used one, trying to figure out if they're reliable? Well, I got the data for you. We're going to talk about how reliable Ram pickups are coming up right now. Hello, it's Tim Esterdahl, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. And my passion is trucks and SUVs. If that's your passion too, make sure you hit subscribe below and the bell notification to be notified when I put out new videos. This video is going to be all about the Ram pickup. I'm going to go ahead and look at a few of the major consumer sites for data on reliability. I'll go ahead and go back to the third and fourth generation and now the fifth generation. That's going back to 2002 when they used to be called Dodge Ram. And then in 2012 they became Ram pickups. So if you haven't followed along with that, that's where we're at these days. And I'll go ahead and do a final on what I think about the reliability rankings from these consumer sites and what you should be aware of when you go to buy a new Ram pickup. Okay, let's get right into it. One of the first sites I like to go to is carcomplaints.com. I decided to do a screen recording of this because why not just show you what I'm going to see instead of doing screen images of it and showing the screen. And I digress. Let's just get right into the sites I use and where I get information to tell me whether vehicles are reliable or not. So looking at carcomplaints.com, if you haven't been here, it's a great site. It combines owner information, recalls, TSBs. It just puts it all together in one convenient place. So looking at the model year comparison, which is great for this, for the Dodge Ram 1500, if you don't know, in 2011, Ram dropped the Dodge name, and now it's a Ram brand only. And it came out in 2012, it says right here, as well, if you didn't know that. So this is why that cuts off at 2011. So looking at these model years, we're going to look at 2002 through 2008. That is the third generation. That's the first time they came out to look like a big truck. And then 2009, 10, 11, that'd be the fourth generation of Dodge Ram or Dodge trucks or Ram trucks, whatever you want to call it. So looking at 2002, we can immediately see, worst model year, the accessories, interior problems, and really when you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see cracks in dashboard, cracks in dashboard. And so the interior was falling apart. And so we have quite a few complaints in 2002, 2003. As we click into these, you can see that interior accessory problems are by far the biggest issue. And it really comes down to the fact that the interior quality, material quality wasn't very good. Engine problems were the big deal. Drivetrain, powertrain, not a big deal there as well. They did have some investigations, which is pretty typical. Lots of TSBs, typical recalls are pretty typical. If you look at recalls, you know, it really just comes down to variety of different things that happen that they'll bring back. The big one, you'll see some big ones for passenger side front airbag inflator going down. We have winch wiper modules, aftermarket replacement steering linkages. Not a whole lot of stuff that you need to be concerned about, but those were the big recalls. And TSBs are technical service bulletins. That goes up to the dealership. That's where they want you to, if you take it in for a problem, they have a solution. And this is the different TSBs. If you ever had an issue with a truck and you're like, hey, I got a problem with like my stabilizer bar, it just doesn't quite work right or doesn't feel right, you take it in, they look it up on the computer when you do like an oil change or something, and they'll apply the TSB to your truck. And it's pretty easy to see if a vehicle's been done this way. You can go to Carfax.com, run the VIN number, and it'll tell you whether the TSBs have been completed or not. So going back to 2000 to the model years, I go all the way back here. Oh, there we are. We can see that as the years progress, we get a little bit better. So the fourth generation looks like we're on to a lot better model year. 2011 electrical problems are going to be our issue here. Engine problems still not a big deal, and so electrical problems are going to break down to tire pressure monitors. Those are easy things that just go bad. Looking at the newer models, when we go to Ram 1500, which is the newest name for these trucks, we can see that our problems are growing a little bit, which is kind of surprising. So in 2019, we have the new model. This is the new model year. And so these are the years of things have changed. The biggest change here was 13 and 14, depending what engine type you have, whether you had a V6 or V8, the transmission changed. We went from the Chrysler transmission, I should say, to the ZF transmission. Fiat Chrysler calls it torque flight, is their terminology for it. It's a German manufacturer. And now we're seeing a lot of transmission problems right off the bat. And what these are going to be related to is it's going to be there was a bump transmission releasing brake, or revs no acceleration. So there's a lot of software issues going on here that are got to be worked out, and that's going to be a lot of your complaints because that's a new transmission, and so you have a lot of TSBs, and those are related to radios and steering wheel and just a variety of things. So it's not saying it's bad. It's just a lot of fixes that have been addressed, and so you see a high number of TSBs, and you see a high number of complaints, and you see a lot of those complaints in transmission, and that is the new transmission. And typically it takes at least a model year or two to get things straightened out. If you watched our Toyota Tundra video on this, or Toyota Tacoma video, excuse me, the Tacoma video, I pointed out transmission issues were the big problem there. I'll put a link up above. And going back, you can see the big drop here, and I would imagine, yep, big drop's transmission. So the big drop has been transmissions are getting better over time. They do software updates, they do recalls, they do things to make sure that they can address those issues. The cruise control can't be canceled issue, that was a big one. That one was where it was unintended acceleration, basically. You couldn't turn off the cruise control, and they recalled those. Tailgate opening, side curtain airbags, side airbags again. Airbags are always a big issue recalling, especially because we had a huge recall in airbags a couple years ago, and so they're still recalling those as well. So looking at the newer model years, when we leave 1500 here, half done, we're seeing less complaints, but that doesn't mean a whole lot because the miles aren't on those vehicles yet. They got to drive them more and more and get more miles on them. Then we'll see those complaints go up as we get to discover more issues, basically what happens. And so maybe you're wondering, like I was, well, how does this compare to other brands? Because it's easy to see what they've had. Okay, looking at Chevrolet from 1999 onwards, we're seeing quite a few complaints. Let's say the biggest one was 2007. They call it 2008 was the worst category. And they're seeing some engine problems. Excessive oil consumption. I've heard this problem many times with Chevrolet. It's about the active fuel management system. Active fuel management system, I should say, let me say it more clearly. That is, for a lot of owners, consuming too much oil. What's interesting here is you have to actually go back to Chevrolet and look up the 1500. I'm not sure why they separate these out. But here are your complaints for the years. So we had 210 in 2014, and then we had 105 in 2015. Looking at information here, we had about the same. Looking at Ford, we've had about the same in those model years. We're having a couple hundred issues. But what's nice to see is it's going down over the years, and we're getting less and less. But again, these models need to get more miles on them. Toyota Tundra, really overall, if you look at comparisons, really less problems on them. Something you said about volume. Toyota doesn't sell as many vehicles as other manufacturers do in full-size trucks. Same with Nissan. Nissan, we have very low complaints because they just don't sell that many vehicles compared to other manufacturers. So that's kind of what I look at. First of all, I go to carcomplaints.com. We can see the numbers. We can see where Rams had some issues. And they're still saying interior problems. So that's one of the things, as it gets fancier, we're having, and interiors keep improving, we're having more and more issues. There's issues with Uconnect systems, which we just said the Uconnect system malfunctioned. We have issues with cracked dashboards. We have, really those issues that really bug you when you're spending $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on a truck and you have these small issues. Another place we can go to look at problems beyond this site is Consumer Reports. Sorry, I can't share that information. I can tell you that you can go to consumerreports.org and sign up for a digital subscriber membership. It's like $8. Consumer Reports is a nonprofit organization, and they sell their report to consumers. That's how they get funding to buy the vehicles. So you're kind of helping them evaluate the vehicles, tell you the best one. A no-brainer. Go sign up. But hey, let's get back to the results I can share with you in this video. Looking back at car complaints, we're seeing 11 already in 19, and we only have 7 for 18. So we're already seeing some pretty good complaints off the bat, which is kind of surprising. You don't anticipate that, and that's where we're at with that. And going to the other place that we do for reliability and dependability, J.D. Power, and I know there's a lot of hatred for J.D. Power, but they're a survey company, and they put out surveys just like Consumer Reports. Consumer Reports does surveys, J.D. Power does surveys. Same kind of idea. You could argue about their surveys, argue about that kind of stuff, but this is what we have here, is you look at the reliability of the 2016 model, which is what they do 3 years prior. And so we look at the contenders, and we look at Ram Truck, we're seeing that the circle indicates a high score. So the high score for reliability for them is mechanical is good, exterior and interior is a concern, and features, controls looks like a little bit of concern, and overall it didn't score so highly. And so we can see that the Ram pickup is not doing as strong as its competitors when it comes to dependability. Hey, thanks for watching, and if you found this information informative, go ahead and give it a like and hit subscribe below to be followed along with more of the videos I put out like this. I'm thinking about doing a whole series, so go ahead and give me a comment whether you want to see a whole series of all the different pickups based on reliability. Make sure you also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Type in Pickup Truck Talk. We're there. Trust me, I do it all the time. You can find us. I put out some funny stuff. Make sure you find us over there. Make sure you check out pickuptrucktalk.com. That's the website for news, reviews, and different information I put out for pickups and SUVs. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you down the road.